And let's get going. Hello, friends. My name is Brooke Silva. If we have not met, I am your regional technology trainer, your nerd, and your biggest advocate in growing your business outside of your market center leadership. I am joined today with one of my best pals in this business, and we're going to go over the budget model today. So, Rhonda, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Brooke. Well, hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here today with Brooke. I'm Rhonda Messenborg. I am the team leader at Keller Williams Coastal in Rhode Island. And we are talking about one of my favorite topics, which is why I chose to co-host today, talking about the budget model and, talking about, everyone, you work so hard in your business to bring business to yourselves, to bring money into yourself and your family. And we're going to talk about how important it is to make sure that you are seeing some profit on the other side. So thank you so much for having me here today, Brooke.
Absolutely. And we're so lucky as a region. We have so many fantastic resources in our region. We live the MREA. What a lot of our agents sometimes don't realize is that the market center runs by the MREA. I run my RTT business by the MREA, and I ask our market center tech trainers to do the same. We are MREA ninjas who want to help ninja your business into profit and growing. So the budget model is part of the process, right? And it's also super important to know that you can't have one model of the MREA without the other. It's all cyclical, and you really can't have lead gen without budget, because if you're not making leads and getting appointments, you have nothing to worry about putting in a budget because you're not making money, right? So it's all cyclical. Before we jump in, did you guys have any questions from the previous session, or any big aha moments you wanted to share? Slow down. I can't handle all this at once today. I'm not caffeinated enough. Oh now you're laughing. Now I call you out on it. Now you're laughing and giggling. We shall wait.
The awkward silence.
All right, I'll speak. How's that?
Yes. Thanks, Willard.
When you go through the models, it just makes it can be overwhelming as you discuss, do this, do that. When you really look at it, it's not that difficult, right? These numbers are not that big. They're not so big that they're unattainable. So when you break it down into, gee, I need 2 appointments a week or whatever it is, okay, we can do that, right?
We can.
Yeah.
Was last week, please refresh my memory because I was out gallivanting the country learning. Was last week the lead conversion?
Yesterday we did the lead gen model. Yeah.
I'm about to drop
Didn't
some
we?
golden nugget right in the chat for you.
Okay.
I have a calculator because if you know me, you know I don't math, but I can make things that math because that's how nerds work, right? So I just dropped in my lead conversion calculator for you guys. If you want to know exactly how many people you have to add to your data bank every day to get to a unit goal, that quickly and easily does it for you. So you don't have to paper, pencil, abacus, whatever you do to get to math, do it. And then I give you the models below on how we got there. So yeah, I'm glad you had a great aha on that, Willard. And the other thing is the MREA is more than good real estate. It's actually just good business, right? If every business owner were to follow the MREA, they'd all be gazillionaires. This would be the gazillionaire real estate agent. It would be green, like bright fluorescent green, not red. All right. Anybody else before we dig in? And feel free to interrupt us. Raise your hand, raise your digital hand, put things in the chat. Be like, Brooke, you're going too fast. We have no idea what you're talking about. I'm going to be posting links. But go ahead, Rhonda, take it away.
Yeah, so as we were just saying that all of these models just work together. And the more that I love this whole series, because you're absolutely right, Willard, is sometimes like when you're looking at the book as a whole, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. It can all of a sudden just feel a little bit overwhelming because there's a lot of words on every page and there's graphs and right, and trying to figure out how it all fits into your business. Yet these opportunities of us coming together a few times a week and breaking it down. And, you know, Brooke and Jen and the region just do this wonderful job. So that way, the more you see it and the more you chunk it down in those pieces, then all of a sudden you realize that it starts to get ingrained in your brain, and you start thinking of the strategies, and you start thinking of those models, and you're like, oh, I get it. And you start looking at your business a little bit differently. And so just like you were saying, Willard, about the, you know, the lead gen model, sometimes, I mean, you know, as a team leader, I coach a lot of our agents in our market center, and sometimes they come in and they haven't yet set their goals for the year. And when they put on paper how much they want to bring into their world through real estate activities, that number just seems very daunting. And they're right. And you feel like, oh my God, how am I going to talk to how many appointments do I need? This is just going to be like a lot. And then once you break it down, you realize, oh, I really only have to go on 3 appointments a week in order to reach that goal. And then all of a sudden, like, you know what, I think I can make that number even bigger because I can do that. And the same thing, we're gonna do the same thing today with the budget model. So leading off of that into the revenue that you're bringing into your world, the budget model is just the map and the tool that you're going to use to say, let me calculate what my cost of sales is. Let me calculate what my operating expenses are. So that way I can make sure that I'm bringing in a healthy amount of profit into my life and into my family's life, because that, at the end of the day, it's not about the revenue, it's about the profit, right? And so there's many, many agents out there who have these great, big, healthy businesses, yet they're not managing their expenses. And so at the end of the day, they're bringing a very small amount of money into their world and into their families world. So today is all about making sure that the budget model is correct, and where can we tweak on either side to make sure that at the end of the day, whether you're a single agent or you're running a team, that you have a healthy profit on the other side.
So can I ask a question real quick before we go any, because this is always something that was difficult for me. Why don't we talk about our money in our business? If you don't want to come off of mute, put your feelings, your responses in the chat. Why as business owners are we not talking about the financial part of things?
Because we're having so much fun doing this that the money doesn't matter.
I think it's
I'm gonna put my emoticon up there. Okay, I'm gonna do that.
I think it's, you're kind of like afraid, you know, you're afraid to talk about it because somebody's, you know, doing better than you. And it's hard because you feel like you're going to be judged on that.
So fear of being judged. How about know-how? Many of us were not business people before we came to this world. Some of us didn't have business cards, professional email, or know how to have a voicemail. Is it lack of understanding the budget? Friends, I will tell you every day, all day, every day, I'm not a numbers person. So to me, numbers are intimidating out of the gate. And I want to just spend the money, make the money, and give it to someone and say, here, make it so that I don't end up in jail with the IRS. Like, here, right? And we do need to talk about, so Peter put this, we need to talk about it because we think about it all the time. But just like your data bank, your financials can't live up here because the IRS has no way, they probably do, but they have no way to plug into here to pull all that data out of your brain when it's time to pay taxes, right? So I just want you guys to know we're all in the same boat with this. Many of us didn't come into this world with the financial know-how on how to run a business. So you're among friends today, right? We want to get you to a place where you do have the tools and the know-how to make sure you're making informed decisions about your budget and your business. Sorry, Rhonda, off soapbox.
I love that. This is a team effort here. So yeah, and I love that. And it's taken me a long time to, you know, to talk about money, and, you know, and money is something that we should all be, you know, this is our business, and real estate is like, it's one of those businesses where sometimes, like, I think as realtors, we feel like we almost feel bad that we're making a living at doing this business, right? And we almost feel like, and this is like the one business where people will feel, I can remember like my grandmother saying to me like, oh, like, so like, do you actually make money doing that? And I'm like, would you ever ask anybody else in any other profession? Would you ever ask them that question? No, of course not. Like, why do you feel that like real estate, we're fair game here for you to be asking such questions as that? But we should talk about it. And you provide a very valuable service to your clients and you deserve to get paid for it. Plain and simple, just like in any other profession. We are professionals and so you are deserving to run a business using a profit and loss statement to make sure that your business is healthy. Because as a realtor, the day you walk into real estate, you own a business and you should treat it as a business and you should learn how to run it from the ground up to make sure that it is a healthy business. So one of the first things that, and I'm just looking in the book, Brooke, I don't know if this is in the workbook as well, but there's a graph. I'm on page 204. I'm on my Kindle. The budget model of the millionaire real estate agent, and it talks about the two key areas of expenses, which are your cost of sale and your operating expenses. And does everybody know what the difference is, or in how you categorize that money going out into whether it is a cost of sale or it is an operating expense? What would be considered a cost of sale?
So let's throw out something in your business that you have to buy constantly. Like, what is something you just recently purchased? Couldn't hear you, Laura.
Signs and business cards.
Business cards.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So would business cards, would those be an operating expense, or would that be a cost of sale?
Operating expenses.
Okay, awesome, Christine. Why? And so why do you say that it's an operating expense?
Because it's not tied to a transaction of the selling, and then it's more like overhead that you kind of need to spend. We call that it's like a sink cost in accounting. So I believe that it belongs to operating expenses because you own your business, you're running it, you are the operator.
Awesome. That's great. Yes, exactly. So exactly that, Christine. So it's an operating expense because it's not tied to a sale, right? So something that is a cost of sale is just that. It's a cost that is associated directly with the sale of a property and would not happen if that property didn't close or that sale didn't happen. And so like one of the ones that I always found tricky in that case was photography, right? So if you have a listing and you're paying a professional photographer, which it should be, for that listing, a lot of times I was like, oh, that's a cost of sale because I wouldn't have that expense if I didn't have the listing. However, regardless of whether or not that listing actually sells, you have to pay that upfront. So that is actually an expense, not a cost of sale. So
What would a great example of a cost of sale be?
So a good example of a cost of sale would be your split with your broker, right? So you split if you're working on a team, a split with your team. So it would be a cost that is associated because that property closed and you would not have it otherwise.
Okay, or like errors and omissions.
Depending on if you pay errors and so errors and omissions can go either way. Depends on if you pay errors and omissions when you close on a transaction and only if you close on a transaction, or like I know in my market center, it's part of our agent's monthly dues is part of that monthly fee goes towards errors and omissions. So in our market center, it's an operating expense, not a cost of sale. But if you only pay the errors and omissions when you close something, then yes, it would be a cost of sale.
Huh.
Karina, did you raise your hand?
So basically, if it's something that you pay out of that commission check, it's a cost of sale.
So your royalty, so that 6% royalty fee for that comes off, that is a cost of sale. Because if
Okay,
you
'cause I
didn't have
use-
that closing, you wouldn't pay that.
Yeah, because I count my photographer and my post guy, but he's not, it's an overhead.
Right, because you're
Because
gonna
I have to
for
pay it regardless. It doesn't come out of that commission.
Exactly.
Okay, that
Exactly.
makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And that used to get me all the time as well. And now if you ended up paying, not that we like to do it, we don't like to do it, but yet if you ended up making like a concession during the sale, right? Say like you ended up having to give a little piece of your commission back, or say, in some cases, my team sometimes might pay for like the smoke cert, here in that's like, in Rhode Island. I know we're in different states here. So sometimes we might have like something that came up during that transaction that we paid back to that transaction. That would be a cost of sale, because we would not, depending on if it was paid at closing because it closed, right? In some cases, if you paid it during the transaction, say you ended up paying for somebody's inspection for them, that would be an expense because you paid it anyway. You were going to pay for it whether it closed or it didn't close.
That's a great way to think about it. In the chat, we have promotional pens. Are promotional pens cost of sale or operating?
Promotion pens is
Operating.
Yep. And then Ashley put in referral fees.
Mhm.
Cost of sale?
yes.
That's cost of sale?
Yes,
It's cost of
because
sale.
the listing would not have happened or the buyer without the referral, and it doesn't happen unless it closes.
I'm sorry, I cannot find the hand signal.
Oh, that's okay. Just wave like a maniac. I'll
Yeah.
see you.
I'm sorry, but I just have a few questions. The cost of sale for the average agent, salesperson especially, they wouldn't have much for cost of sale. I'm as far as even a referral, I don't know about your offices, but like my offices, it's paid through my office. My office takes the funds, unless I was going to pretend I got all that money and handed it over again. But I don't understand the cost of sale for the average agent, because most of them won't have a cost of sale, with my understanding of what a cost of sale is based on the book.
That will be
So,
great.
yeah, and so Kathy, so you're thinking of the commission that comes in your check at the end of the commission that shows up in your check on your desk, correct? Or in your mailbox?
If we're talking about, applying this to our tax return.
Correct. So you have to, so the one piece that you're gonna go one step backwards to the commission that you earn is is your GCI, your gross commission income.
All right, yeah.
And that gross commission is the sale price. So say, it's a $500,000 house and you're getting a 2.5% commission, right? That is your gross commission. And so that is where your commission starts. And so from that gross commission, you're going to pay your broker a certain percentage. You're going to pay that 6%, if you're KW, 6% KW off of that, right? And if you had a referral fee, your referral fee is going to come off of that. So those are your cost of sales, and you're going to get your commission check. So your commission starts one step above where your cost of sales are going to be applied.
Okay, I'm just thinking about my Schedule C. I would not have.
Yeah,
Right.
so when you then take your Schedule C, then you're going to apply all your operating expenses on top of that. But your actual gross commission income is what you are actually getting from that sale. And then we're going to take those costs.
Something totally different than your tax return.
Yeah,
Correct.
exactly.
All right, because I
We're
was
starting like
somebody had mentioned something about, hopefully you, I don't know, I got the impression you were talking about taxes and how you would budget it and how you would put it out on a spreadsheet, what your operating costs are, what your cost of sales are. And I was just getting really confused because most agents won't have a cost of sale.
Yeah,
But
you
what
already
you're
had
saying
it
is you
before
want
then.
us to take our gross income and just for our own personal knowledge, see how much of that is going towards referral fees and how much is going towards the office. Okay, got it. Sorry about that.
No,
No,
don't
and that's
be-
okay. And those things are also broken out too. Like, we see the one thing go in, but on our commission statement, it's all broken down, right? You can see what you pay to everything. So that's where Rhonda means take that step back before it hits the taxes, because on that could be cost of sale, that referral going out. Right. So when we're starting to look at your overall budget when you're growing, as someone who's a solo agent right now, you may not be feeling this, but when you're ready to make that first hire and you're looking at your profit and loss, or you're looking to get scalable and grow bigger, that's when these things start to come into play. So that's why we start talking about them so early, is because we have to know, where do salaries lie? Where does a seller specialist, a buyer specialist, where do all these people go so that I can afford to grow my business?
I see. Okay, so you're talking like teams.
Or solo agent with an admin, or a
Okay,
transaction coordinator, or a marketing specialist, or leverage, right? How do I bring on that leverage piece? Can I afford to do so? And sometimes we have to dig just a little deeper into anything that's going in or out of our business so we can accurately categorize it, so we know what we need to do to be able to bring on a hire.
All right, thank you very much for explaining.
No problem.
Of course, that's what we're here for. Yeah, Peter.
Yeah, one of the costs which we haven't talked about, this is not about taxes, this is about our time and opportunity cost. And when you're doing a budget, it seems to me that we ought to begin by really sort of trying to assign the time we're going to prepare to spend on each transaction. And I know that I've done some transactions which were totally unprofitable because I spent enormous amounts of time, and I may have bashed my car in the process and had to repair it and all these kind of things. But I do think we ought to try to kind of think in terms of profitability per transaction, including the amount of time we've had to spend, and then going back and analyzing that and seeing where we went wrong. And if we can be more efficient, if we can cut out some of the things that we did and some of the time we spent when we really didn't need to do it. So I don't do it because I do every deal that comes along that I can possibly do. So I'm a pure volume, and I don't worry about cost at all. I simply just try to earn commission. And that's what I try to do. And I don't pay attention to anything else, frankly. And I've had some horrible, unprofitable transactions.
Yeah, and I absolutely love that conversation, Peter, because that's where leverage comes in, right? And if you take your transaction and if you do put in, if you're starting out, or even if you're a seasoned agent and you just haven't ever done it before, but if you start to calculate how much time and everything you did for that transaction, and you realize all of those pockets of time that just built up to the place where you're like, yeah, if I'm valuing my time at X amount per hour, and I spent a lot of time doing things that I shouldn't be doing as a real estate agent, right? Like as you're growing your business, at some point, you should not be doing paperwork. You should have a transaction coordinator who's doing your paperwork. You should have leverage for that. So that way you're spending your time on business generating activities, and you're not spending your time on doing things like, like social media posting, right? So like, that's a great leverage piece, having, like, as Brooke said, a marketing specialist. So that way you're spending your time on lead gen and bringing business into your business, right? Bringing clients into your business and letting somebody else create and post your social media, letting somebody else handle your paperwork by having a transaction coordinator. So if you do track your time in that, you're absolutely going to find those pockets where you can bring leverage in. That leverage is going to become an operating expense for you. So as your business grows, if you're looking at your budget and you're looking at your budget model, you're going to figure out at what point do I have enough business where I can start offloading some of those activities. So that way I'm spending more time, right? When you get to the point in your business where you can make your first hire, and who should be your first hire? What should your first hire be? Does anybody know?
Admin.
An admin.
Your admin, yeah. And just by hiring that admin, your business is going to grow, right? You should be able to do another 20 transactions just by having an admin who's taking things off of your plate. And I remember when my business got to that level and my coach had said to me, like, Rhonda, you need to hire an admin. And I'm like, I can't afford it. For A, I can't afford it. And B, as many of us are, I'm a control freak. And there's absolutely no way that somebody could do what I do in the way that I do it. There's just absolutely no way. And I finally, listened to her and I made my first hire. And 7 years later, Shelly is still with me. She's my right-hand person. And and absolutely, as soon as I brought her on, my business grew. I was able to let go of those things and Shelly could do what she did best. I could do what I did best, which was lead generate and bring more business into my world. So all of it. So Peter, it's such a great conversation because this is what the MREA is. It just is all encompassing and it's just putting all of these pieces of the puzzle together.
And there's a ton of resources like we spoke about in the beginning. I've dropped in the chat the MREA chart of accounts because it gives you a cheat sheet. It's an Excel file. You don't have to fill it in and we don't have to look at it now. Just download it, click on it so it goes to your download. But it tells you your cost of sales, commissions to the office, brokerage, your royalties, your splits for listings, splits for your buyers, referral, income paid out, transaction fees, or any other commissions paid out. And then it does jump into the other side of the operational expenses and what those are. I think they said it's 135 items in here, and it starts on page 349 in your book as well. You can see in the appendix, they give you a sample profit and loss statement. So you can actually see what they account for. Any liabilities, any equipment. There's all these operating costs that we probably don't think about in our daily lives that your accountant thinks about, but we're like, I don't know, right? But not just salaries, not just the things you're buying for your business. Did you buy Girl Scout cookies? Guess what? It's a charitable, right? Did you give money at the event? Did you buy a backpack for the office, right? Are we putting all those things through our business accounts? Now, here's another hard ask. How many of you have separate business checking and savings than your personal?
Love that. Great.
If you don't, it's okay. But your homework is to get one and it's free because you want to keep those things separate. You never want to get to a place where you have to untangle your personal world from your business world.
So fun.
Everything. Run it through your business. Give your MCA your new business checking account. Run it through those. End of the day. Keep your receipts, put them in a thing.
Mary,
how many
did
of you
you
log your
question?
miles?
Yes, I did.
Oh, go ahead, Mary. Hi, Mary.
Hi, how are you? Good, good.
Good.
Rhonda, you mentioned and I've heard it a number of times that the first hire should be an admin. What is the difference between an admin and a transaction coordinator? Because I have a transaction coordinator, but that's the only assistance that I have.
That's awesome. And your admin, and they can be one and the same, or you could have an admin who maybe handles, your marketing and handles, maybe does hiring for you, training for you. So your admin can do a whole bunch of things. Yet if you're a transaction coordinator is a form of an admin. So that is perfect because that's like the bulk of what you're just going to get too busy to do.
Okay.
And by having that person, and when Shelly first came on for me, that's what she did, is she handled my transactions. She handled all of my paperwork, and interfaced with our sellers and our buyers throughout the transaction, throughout the transaction. So that's absolutely perfect. But a transaction coordinator is a form of an admin.
A form of it. So
Yeah.
now your Shelley began as a type of transaction coordinator and now just does. So what's a wide range of things that she does, if you don't mind me asking, Rhonda?
Yeah, I don't mind at all. I mean, I'll share everything I do, everything I know.
Yeah.
So Shelly, at this point, we have a 5-person team. And so Shelly she's kind of our all encompassing, except for social media. She does she's our team administrator. So she handles like just day-to-day operations within our team. If we need supplies, ordered, like we just ordered name tags for everybody. We just ordered new business cards for everybody. So she does all of those things, and she is our transaction coordinator, and so handles our listing paperwork, our transaction paperwork. She interfaces with attorneys, with lenders.
Oh,
She schedules photos for us for our listings.
oh, wow.
She orders our sign for our signs to get put up and taken down. So she kind of runs the show for us.
Wow.
Yeah, and you know, we pay her a salary and a bonus. So part of what we pay her, her salary is an operating expense for us, but her bonuses are per transaction. So she gets a bonus for every transaction that closes. So those bonuses are actually a cost of sale.
Okay,
She
great.
wouldn't
Thank
get
you.
those unless we close, right? So we kind of divvy in. And if you read these couple pages here on the budget model, that is a way to stay in model with the percentages you need to have in cost of sale and operating expenses, is you can play around a little bit with that and pay somebody. So part of their pay is an expense and part of their pay goes over to cost of sales. So you stay in model.
Great, good. Thank you, Rhonda. Thank you.
Thank you. And just so you know, I also dropped in the did I come back?
You did.
Okay, that's so weird. Everything was, we can't detect your speaker. So with the task lists, these are all the things, 192 things Mega should be doing. The next column is what can you push off to an admin, transaction coordinator, right? Do you all love printing things and typing up testimonials and doing all these small things that you could push off? I mean, if you do, groovy. I would rather leverage it out to someone to do. Bonnie.
Thanks, Brooke. I wanted to say when it comes to accounts, I actually set up a separate commission account. So my market center administrator will take and put all my commissions into that account. So it shows at the end of the year what that account had. That's all I use it for. And then I transfer money into my general account, and some can go into my personal or my savings or my taxes. So that way you can distribute it. And if you're using QuickBooks or something else, that'll help you distinguish where the money's going.
That's so smart.
Yes.
And the other thing is, if you have not read Profit First by Michael Michalowicz, quick read, either grab it on Audible, I put the link in, or grab it. He came out to the region when I first got out here. It was actually our last event before shutdown.
Yeah.
And the way he talks about Profit First and how he moves things around accounts is brilliant. I actually lead all my accounts that way in my own business. And then the other thing I'm going to drop in for you guys is a company called MREA Profit. And what this does is they work with you and they're just amazing. They have chart of accounts, they take your business, they onboard you, they tell you where you are in your business at any time. Fascinating. So good. They have something called a Profit Assist program. So if you have not looked into that and you think all of this may be overwhelming, they're the perfect resource to reach out to because they are KW based as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And you know, whatever, right? I remember a long time ago, somebody had said, like, you know, talking about like CRMs, what's the best CRM like to use? And the answer to that question by Tom Ferry, who is a renowned real estate coach, was the one that you're going to use. Right. And the same thing with what we're talking about. What is the best system for you to use? Is it QuickBooks? Is it MREA Profit? It could be a spreadsheet. It's going to be the thing the tool that you are going to use and that you're going to use consistently. So that way at the end, when tax time does come, because taxes are stressful. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what your situation is. Like, tax time is stressful on everybody. If you have all of your real estate commissions, your expenses, all of those things in just one place that you can pull them out of. And like Brooke said, you're not pulling out your personal American Express card and you're going through 12 months of things, highlighting which was a business expense or what was this for. It's going to just make your life so much easier. And it should be something you should be looking at your Your profit and loss statement, you should be looking at what's coming in and what's going out on a monthly basis. So that way you can make changes on the fly. And right now, as we're talking about an upcoming shift in the market, right? The shift book, also get it, read it. This is like the stuff that we need to know right now, but like really kind of pulling back on frivolous expenses that we don't need, because we get like bombarded on a daily basis with sign up for this subscription. This is going to help. It's going to bring leads into your world, right? And before you know it, when you go back and you look at everything that you're being charged on a monthly basis, you might have some newsletter service that you're like, haven't even read the last 6 of those, right? Cancel it, get rid of it. So if you are paying attention, you're going to be on top of that stuff.
Well, this is why the systems are so important.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know what your return on investment is for something you're spending, why are you spending the money?
That's right.
It is so important. Karina, I see your hand up. We'll get to you in a second, my friend. A lot of our agents say to me, Facebook doesn't work for advertising. And I say, great, let's look at what came in and what you did and how you marked it, so we can really break down your return on investment. Because also how agents look at things is we're so goal oriented. We want big picture. We want, cha-ching, listing, sold, buyers, under contract, and closed. What we don't always think about is, hey, I got 15 people who I'm in communication with. What is the return on investment to building your data bank for a qualified buyer or seller? It's not just about the close. Is it at the end of the day when we look at the marketing? Yes. But if we don't have those systems and models in place with what we're spending, also, how do you know what you can spend on marketing or what you should be spending on marketing? Case in point, I have an agent who loves to give out things, but the things that they were giving out were always disposable. So as soon as you got the item, you used it, chucked it, right? So where's the staying power in that? We want stuff that's going to stay visible and in front of our people, so they remind them that we are top of mind if we're going to spend marketing dollars. There are places in that budget model for that. Did I answer your question, Rena, or did you just put your hand down because you were sick of waiting?
Oh, I just put my hand down because you saw me, because you said I saw you. But I just wanted to say, I use RE Profit, and I will tell you that one thing changed my business forever.
Love that.
I get it once a week, every Friday, and it pops up with your profit and loss. I look and see if I have anything miscellaneous, and then I go take a look at it and I fix it. You can also set up so you do know exactly what cost of sale was. And each transaction will have its own little line item, and you can click on it and open it up and see what you're spending, and see which is cost of sale and what is just what you have to pay. And it's I'm telling you, people would say I must get paid for this, but no, I don't, because
I don't either.
Such a great program. I did it my very first year of production, and it was the best thing in the world.
Thank you for sharing that. You're not the first agent who's on it to tell me that. We have team leaders who use it, who are now back in production, and they say this is the one thing that has saved their business or got them growing in their business. So I do have the link in the chat. Please check it out. Contact them. Find out how they can help you. They're the experts. There's your first leverage piece right there to get this going. So I'm glad Rhonda brought this up about needs and wants. I have children. I have a lot of them. Mom, I need this cereal. Mom, I need this. I will perish if you do not buy me Lucky Charms. That is the fight, and that is why I don't take the 5-year-old grocery shopping anymore. Welcome to all the agents. You are bombarded daily with text messages, social media messages, and emails. Guaranteed leads. Guaranteed. It says it right here. It says guaranteed. So if you pay that, I'm guaranteeing you leads. Whether you close them or not, folks, it's up to you. Guaranteed to build your business. Grow your business by 10. pens everybody will love, tons of business, right? You are just hit with all these messages constantly. And during COVID, we saw a lot more of this when we went into shutdown. We saw a lot more what we call red light, green light. Wouldn't be nice to have, needs to have in our business. Rhonda, what was one of the things during shutdown that you decided to out of your business expenses?
Let me think. There was actually a lot of, there was like one of the very first things I did is I pulled out my credit card statement for the end of the month. And I literally went through and I redlined stuff that, and a lot of them were, it was like a subscription to, I don't like, one thing that I had because I felt I needed it was like paying for like the Adobe suite, right?
Mhm.
Because I swore I was going to design my own stuff, and I was right, and I love doing that stuff. I actually find it therapeutic. A, I don't have time for it, and B, I shouldn't be doing it myself. And so I was paying, like, for some stuff, I was paying out like, $19.99 a month. That stuff adds up, right? Some stuff $24.99 a month. Some stuff I was paying. I had, like the professional version of
Canva.
this or that or Canva, right? And
Right.
went right through and go right through and just say cancel. Like, sometimes we'll say, you know what, that I'm paid through, June. I'll remember on June 15th
No, you won't.
to go, and you're not gonna remember. You're gonna
No,
remember when
cancel
they hit you on June 1st and it says, we just charged your credit card $500 for this service. You're now good until June of next year. And you're like, oh, crap, I didn't go and delete it, right? Just go do it. You're going to be prorated until the end, but just, and there's actually, and Brooke, I wish I can remember the name of it.
I know what you're talking about, and I was trying to find it before. That was with the clickety. There is actually something that will go in and look through your subscriptions, and if I find it, I'll put it in the growth call.
Bob Sweeney knows what it is. I should text Bob Sweeney because he's the one that had like mentioned it on a call or something. And
Yeah, I didn't even realize I was paying for a gym for like the last 6
Gym
years.
membership.
I thought I canceled it, but it was so little that it was just there. Like there's all these silly things as subscriptions.
Gym
Is it
membership is a huge one. If you're not using your gym membership, just get rid of it. Like, just get rid of it. It's okay.
I know, I'm trying, but because we think we're going to use it, right? You know what? Tomorrow I'm going to time block. I'm going to figure out this product. You know what? Tomorrow I'm going to time block and I'm going to put this email newsletter I've been buying out, right? Tomorrow. We are such great planners in real estate. We are not people who execute. So another reason why you need an admin, they are also going to execute on your ideas that you sit on. And it's not that you don't want to execute them. It's that we don't always have the time to execute them or follow up on those plans. So red light, green light. And it is a difficult thing to do because but it will be eye-opening. And I have those pens because I'm a child of the 80s that have like 80 colors on it, right?
I
Like
love those. I love those.
do. And this one smells really good. Like it's
very
got
nice.
like, vanilla ink. But that's what we do. We went through the business and we red, green. My business is business stopping is usually what I put. It is, can I do business today? If I take this off, do I absolutely need to change out my business card style every 6 months? No. Do I like to? Yes. Right. So all these things, is it nice to have or do I need to have? Red light, green light. You'll save a ton of money. So Rhonda's $19.99 a month, guys. Do the math. What did that come out to on your calculator? Let's see. That was $239 without taxes. So now add your taxes depending on what state you're in, unless you're Bonnie in the live free or die state. And that's a lot of money. That's a sign or 3, right? Those are things that are new writers.
Yeah. And if you have 5 of those, right? If you have 5 of those, now you're up in the thousands of dollars that you can be saving. And Brooke, I love what Brooke just said, right? Can I do my job? If I got rid of this today, can I still do my job? Right? And still do right, not without crippling it. Yes. If the answer is yes, I can, I'm not even really going to miss it. Then just, and then get rid of it. You can always sign up for it again, again later on. And sometimes too, in going through, and the shift book talks about this, is sometimes, right? So, say that gym membership and you just don't want to let it go because you paid the sign-on fee already and all of those things. A lot of times, if you just call those companies and say, I just want to put my membership on hold, right? I want to pause my membership right now. Or the shift book talks about this as well. You know what? Listen, we could do it with our cable company. We could do it with our cell phones, right? Just come on and say, listen, I have a better deal from this other company, and so bring my rate down. And sometimes, right, we're afraid to ask those questions, but companies out there, are willing to do that. So it might not always be a matter of getting rid of something totally, yet you might be able to negotiate with the company. You may be able to put a subscription on hold for a little while as you evaluate whether or not, maybe you're like, maybe I will miss it. So call and see if you can put it on hold for 2 months. And then, right, and then go back to it again. So there's a lot of different ways that you can do it to just keep those operating expenses down. So that way you remain in model. Does anybody know what how much profit you should be getting, the percentage of profit you should be getting out of your business?
30%?
25.
Willard, what did you say?
40%.
40%. So the traditional MREA model says 30% to cost of sales, 30% to operating expenses, 40% profit at a minimum. Now they changed it. If you are like a single agent, you actually should be getting 55% you should be able to get 55% profit out of your business if you are a solo agent. Right? Because for teams, you don't have to, you're not paying if you don't have a listing specialist, you don't have a buyer specialist that you have to pay part of your cost of sales to. It should even be up to, it should be up to 55%.
Yep. And I know, Karina, I saw your face, 30, 30, 40. How often do we hear that phrase in this world and we just, right over? How many of you are fantastic at logging every mile for everything you do for your taxes?
Good job, Karina. I am not good at that.
Well, I'm going to give you one more tool to help, because when I gave this to my accountant this year, the man nearly started crying and he said, "Where did you get this? Did you make this up?" And I was like, "Excuse me, sir. I'm a nerd." It's called Hurdler. And this is the one fee, the one $5 fee a month I will tell you guys to spend it on. It's like dating your car. Swipe left for personal, swipe right for business. I literally printed out a sheet and handed the man, because it's built for real estate agents. It's inside command. What it did was it tracked every mile I did for work. And there's a start and ending location. A lot of times agents will give, or people who are 1099 will give their mileage logs, and it doesn't have start or end addresses. They need that. If you're audited, you will have to provide that. So what this does is, as you're dating your car and you're like, that was personal, this was this, it also starts to say, hey, do you want to always track this place as a business? Or when you set up a listing in there, every time you go there, it's just going to auto tag it to that listing, or the buyer's house, or the market center. So now at the end of the year, you spit out this gorgeous PDF or Excel file and you give it to your accountant or CPA, and they cry. They cry happy tears, because for the first time in their life, somebody is organized with their mileage, and it's not some log that their kid threw their McDonald's French fries on that had ketchup. It's beautiful, and they're happy, and you're happy, and it tells you your mileage as you go. Mine is disgusting. P.S.
What's the name of it, Brooke?
It's called Hurdler, and I put it right in the link in the chat as well. It'll take you right to command and open it.
I don't see it, but that's okay. I'm sure it's there.
There you go. I'll pop it again.
There it is. Got it.
So what this does is it'll bring you to your command marketplace, and through marketplace, instead of being $8 a month, it's $5. I mean,
Love that.
Yeah, I talk to all my agents about this constantly. This one was a game changer, because last year I used a different program, and when it came tax time, they charged me $75 for my mileage report. I was not happy, considering I paid a monthly fee. So
Wow, I love that.
Now
Oh my
I
God,
feel
I didn't, honestly, I have to say, I must not have been paying attention. I did not know about this, and I'm going to check it out. I think that's amazing. And it's nice to make your accountant cry for once, because all the times they make us cry.
Happy tears.
Right?
Happy tears. And it's just so wonderful, because like I said, the more I use it, I've been using it a year and a half now. It knows me. It knows all the locations I go to. I very rarely have to spend the time swiping left or right for personal or business. And again, it's all through the power of the KW marketplace. It knows you're a KW real estate agent. It knows why you're going places, so it makes it so much smarter. There's also expense and receipt tracking in there. So if you do something and you buy something for a property, or you take a client out for that property, click, take a picture, shoop, off it goes.
Great. That's awesome. And for whether you're iPhone or you're an Android, it's always a good idea every once in a while to go into your App Store or your Google Play and just see what subscriptions you have in there, because sometimes we buy apps and we're like, oh, I'm just going to use this, or I'm going to do a free trial, and we don't even realize that you're getting charged for stuff. And just to go through and look at what subscriptions you might have, you may not have opened that app in 2 years, just to get rid of it. So, definitely get in the habit of just doing a couple of those exercises, and really scrutinizing more every dollar that is leaving your business on a monthly basis at this point, until you get it to where every dollar you're spending, you're getting a return, such as, something like Hurdler or RE Profit, where it has a true benefit for you.
Absolutely. Wow, that was a very fast hour for 2.5 pages. Like, that
Can you
is,
separate the cars?
what was that?
Can you separate cars for business or for
Have
for
multiple
personal if
cars?
you have more than one car?
You can.
Is that easier than keep track on your mileage in some degree? If you mix too much,
Nope. So, and when I printed out my business log, it was literally the business log. So it didn't matter what vehicle I was in. I only use one or two, but it's me going, so it doesn't matter. It's tied to me, not the vehicle, but you can put multiple vehicles in there as well.
So if you claim for the mileage, you won't be able to do the maintenance and every like gas and everything. Do you think so? Because it's one or other, right?
So that's a great question for your accountant. It also depends on a bunch of things. Do you have a
Okay.
newer car? Do you have an older car? Do you do a ton of miles? Not so many miles. So I keep both, and I let him decide what he wants to do at the end of the
Okay.
at tax season. And again, he loves me because I give him all my maintenance. I put all my gas, everything on my business card, windshield wipers, car washes, everything goes on the business card. And then I let him decide what is better for me to do that year, mileage or maintenance.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
You're
There's a
welcome.
lot of things like that with your accountant. Sit down, not now because it's middle tax season and they're like, ooh, up to here. But in July, sit down with your accountant and go through the types of expenses that you should be categorizing. If you have a home office. I was talking to one of our newer agents the other day, and we were talking about their cell phone, and they're like, really? I could, like, my cell phone's a business
Mhm.
expense? Like, you use your cell phone for business, right? Even if you just take a portion of it or half of it, if you and your spouse are on the same bill, you take half of it, whatever, like, let your accountant tell you. All of those things, though, talk to your accountant about, because that's going to save you money at the end of the year, and it's going to cut down on the amount of tax that you have to spend. So, like I said, now is probably not the best time because they're super busy. Yet
Yeah,
when
don't
they're
talk.
slow in the summer or the fall, sit down and have a conversation about best practices for your tax bill, and they'd be happy to have that conversation with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
when you're talking about tax, I think the passive income is also something that you can save a lot of money as well.
Mhm.
Or you can claim your expenses upfront rather than roll over to the next year.
Yeah,
Yep.
sure.
Yep. Your profit share, your passive. Yep. All those things I love having the accountant. And this is a great way to get out to your sphere on your Facebook or during your touch calls. Hey, by the way, I'm shopping for a great accountant or CPA bookkeeper. Who do you know that I need to know?
Yep.
Right. Then you can interview people in your area. And if you have great, then you refer them out to your sphere as well. I saw a lot of posts on the 14th looking for an emergent CPA or accountant to help with taxes this year. And I was like, oh, file an extension, friend. It's too late. File an extension, friend. Right? Too late. Too late. So, are there any more questions before we wrap this up? I know we went over some pretty heavy topics on the budget model today. We gave you some resources, but I'd love to know if there's any more questions.
Yeah, I would just say that I haven't gotten my act together to do the, what's the software that we had through KW for the accounting?
RE Profit?
Right, I have an account, but I haven't taken the time. I will now that the first quarter is over, but one thing I did that was really changed a lot was I set up 3 different bank accounts, a general account, a tax account, and a net profit account for me. So I'm starting to save those taxes. And just looking at that makes a huge difference in how you look at a commission when you go out to price someone, right? If you're negotiating on a commission, that half a point really makes a difference, or that 1% really is going to make a difference, because you're not getting that big number. You're getting a percentage of that big number. So, it just puts it into perspective for me anyway. Might help you.
It does. And guys, we're business owners, right? Business owners, part of knowing your numbers is not just the market, right? It's knowing the numbers that are going in and out every day so you can continue to grow your businesses bigger and better so you can live a life worth leading. Any other thoughts before we skip on out today, Rhonda?
No, thank you all so much for letting me be here today. This was so much fun. I love this topic. I love this series. Brooke, thank you to you and Jen and the region for putting this together for us. It's something that is it's super, super valuable. And it was great seeing everybody today.
Absolutely. Well, friends, your homework is page 196 to 216. That's the organizational model. They're going to dip into that first hire and some of those hires as well. So stay tuned for that, and we will see you soon.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Brooke. Very
Bye,
good.
guys.
Very
Bye.
good. Thank you.